All right, so we have our image. We've kind of gone over a little bit of the tool that we want to use, which is this blob brush tool. How to adjust the size of your brush using the right bracket to make it bigger, left bracket to make it smaller. And it also, just to go over it again, it does vary based off where you are, what point of the face you are drawing on as far as how thick you want that line to be. So your first step is going to be, if you can see where my cursor is at. So we have our tools over here. We have our tools over here on the left. And then, on the right, we have things like color, swatches, kind of like where your layers palette would be for Photoshop. And speaking of layers, if we see this, if you can see where my cursor is at right there, it's usually near the bottom. It almost looks like two pages stacked on top of each other. That is your layers palette. So right now we have one layer. Now, Illustrator is not necessarily a layers-based program like Photoshop is, but especially for something like this, the layers can come in very handy. So what I would recommend that you do is make a new layer. So click on the new layer icon, just the same as it is in Photoshop with the page with the corner flipped up. So we have a new layer, and we can see these colors. So if we were to select this photograph, we see a blue selection box around it. And if we were to go to layer 2 and we were to draw a line, and then we were to select that line, we see that it has red. So you can kind of see color coding. It already kind of does that for you to help keep it organized for you. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a new layer. And then from here, you're going to use that blob brush tool, and you are going to use your drawing tablet and drawing pen. I would recommend Control Plus, just like in Photoshop, is the shortcut to zoom in. Control minus to zoom back out. We kind of go in and out. Also, another handy shortcut is spacebar. If you hold spacebar and then make contact with the pen on the tablet, you can move the picture around, so you don't have to necessarily zoom back out or anything like that. Another shortcut for that same exact thing is the if you're holding the pen, the bottom button on the pen, hopefully by me saying that, you can kind of see what I'm talking about when you're holding the pen. But the bottom button, if you hold that down, you should see a hand, and the same thing, you can make contact with the pen to the tablet, and you can move your photograph around. So for right now, I'm going to focus on tracing. So we're probably going to want, if we pick our swatches, which we don't have any swatches over here. So if we go to color, probably going to want black. And you're going to want it in the fill. And then we can kind of see right there that it actually moves it over to the stroke. So sorry, not the fill, the stroke. And we can see right here that it is almost like a charcoal gray. And the reason that probably is because if we go to the color guide, no, color, sorry, back to color. And then if we were to click on this and show options, it is saying it's CMYK. But our photograph is in RGB. So if we were to go to File, Document Color Mode, change that from RGB to CMYK, it may shift your photograph a little bit. Doesn't necessarily matter, but we can see right here that the black that we have now is not really black. That's where you're getting that charcoal gray. And K in CMYK. So you got C for cyan, M for magenta, and then yellow for Y, and then K is black. So if we turn that all the way over and all these down to the left, that should give you an actual black. So if that is happening, probably chances are you need to change your color mode. So just go File, Document Color Mode, change it to CMYK. We can see now right up here in the title, it does CMYK. It does say CMYK. So, and what you're going to do is just make sure that you are on this layer when you are drawing, just so it makes it easier. And then you are going to trace. So now the way, see how it kind of smoothens it out? The other nice thing about Illustrator is that this is a vectored line, which means that there is no pixels. So this image that you are now making, that you're tracing, unlike this photograph that you can see the pixels, it will not have that issue. So after you get rid of the photograph, that tracing, you can actually blow that up whatever size you want, and it will not distort. So right there, I have a fairly thick line right here. Remember, I got pressure on it too, so I can taper it off by adjusting how hard I am pressing with the pen to the tablet. And the trick too is you just want to try and go as long as you can with one single stroke. The more you practice, the better you get with it. But then you want to, we can see right here that we can turn off the photograph. We can start seeing some of those lines. And then you are going to go around your face, your head, maybe some of the neck area. I am purposely holding off on the hair. I will save that for another section. I know a lot of people tend to get freaked out with the hair. I'll just give you some things that I would necessarily do. Doesn't mean you have to do them that way. But we can see right here that we're kind of going a little bit more precise with our lines. And when it comes to the hair, it'll be a little bit more organic, a little bit more free flowing, but yet it should still kind of match our style. And again, we can change the size of that brush. So maybe in here, like on the inner part of the face, maybe I don't want to be so thick. Maybe that's too thin. Maybe I want to zoom up a little bit. And we're just kind of adjusting how much we are pressing down, how hard we are pressing down on the pen to the tablet. And that's kind of how we're able to get like these tapering lines. And you can see with Illustrator, it kind of does a pretty good job of smoothing it out for you. Sometimes you may not want it to be so smooth. And I think one good example of that is maybe the hair. You don't want it to be so smooth. So maybe you would double click on your blob brush and then you would change the fidelity all the way down to the left. I'm going to leave it right there for right now, but we can kind of see, we're starting to see somewhat of some eyes. So just like kind of all these details right here, you just want to try to get as much as you can. So we kind of, and it depends on just how much, what you want to go for, just how much detail you want to have within, so how many detailed lines you want. So we can just see right here, I'll just kind of flash that up just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then with minus the hair. And then I'll show you maybe some tricks on how you can possibly tackle the hair in another section.